So, the 60s, a time when Technicolor reigned supreme, a golden age of movie making, where the discovery of Paul Newman and Robert Redford made a film called Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where violence was explosive for the first time with a film such as The Wild Bunch, and where Europe, such as Italy and France, were making new waves and making a new splash. It was also a time when a movie, out of nowhere, back in 64, 65, called Robinson Crusoe on Mars was released. Arguably, it is one of the first somewhat survival superhero films ever made. So, let's discuss this movie, shall we? Robinson Crusoe on Mars basically discusses about a guy and another guy in a spaceship, and that guy falls onto the infamous red planet and basically struggles to survive. And he has a pet monkey as his form of companion. Along the way, he will meet another man who is not necessarily, well, he's pretty much an alien, but he resembles like one of those Pocahontas cavemen, a big muscular kind of guy with the haircut of Cleopatra and all tan skin. And together they become good mates and they try to find a way to escape the planet of Mars. Oh, and there is oxygen on Mars, by the way. And what is interesting is that you can breathe through the rocks, and there is water, and there is food, and the food on planet Mars consists primarily of sausages, which is interesting. Now, right off the bat, in comparison to, obviously, there are similarities to Ridley Scott's really tame adaptation of the terrific novel that was The Martian. This film is superior, in my opinion, because there is a sense of warmth about the movie. Not that I'm saying that the film The Martian was warm, but I felt like because I've read the book The Martian before I saw the film, the book is much more edgier and funnier because of its edgier context. And the dialogue is better, using the F-bombs, while the PG-13 lame as fuck Martian, on the other hand, wasn't faithful. And there are certain books that don't need to be faithful in that retrospect, but I felt that the book had more of a power in comparison to the film that Ridley Scott, who makes edgy stuff every now and then, but I felt like he was basically being all PG-13. He was too much. In this case, I felt that Ridley Scott was too much of a pussy. Anyway, The Martian aside, what about Robinson Crusoe on Mars? Well, like I said, it is a warm film. It is an enjoyable film aimed for the family. That is to pretty much be said. It has a cast of 3 people in this movie. I cannot recall the 2 lead characters' names, but Adam West is in this movie, as in Adam West as Batman. He's in that movie for a brief couple of minutes, but the rest consists of how this central protagonist is trying to survive in this world. The film was directed by Byron Taskin, who made the original War of the Worlds, and the film literally, as far as 60s are concerned, the special effects are actually quite solid. And strangely enough, even though the film is incredibly campy to a certain degree, it didn't feel dated. It was not dated in comparison to, say, some of the earlier works of Jean-Luc Godard, for instance. And I would literally, if I showed this to a kid, he would believe it 100%. So there's that. Also, even though the special effects are not, let's say, digitalized like modern days movies such as like the Avengers films and even late, if I can talk about as a film with special effects lately, the Transformers films, for instance, there is genuine craft to how the special effects are done here, and the artwork is also incredible. When the 2 central characters, well, one of the central characters at least, has to climb through a bunch of rocky mountains. Now, obviously, it's a background, but you can see the drawings of the background of it, and it looks like genuine, authentic art, and it looks beautiful. It kind of reminds me a little bit of those earlier Disney movies of Winnie the Pooh and so forth, but done in a much more realistic manner. There is a genuine beauty to some of the colourings and artwork that is done to put the scientific effect. The sky in this film is always painted red because it is set on Mars, right? but it never became distracting as a form of that is fake, right? Yes, the film is campy because it was made in the 60s, but all of it is coherent and to a certain degree somewhat believable once you let yourself go and you actually enjoy the film as a whole. And the characters are likable and they're not morons. And that is why I think the whole family should see this movie as a sort of Saturday morning Twilight Zone episode, or just an episode to see in the morning, like a good film to watch in the morning and sit around with the kids and have a good bowl of popcorn. It's that kind of film. It's an enjoyable, warm movie, and I strongly recommend the film enough. And that is pretty much it. So, and also, yeah, by the way, I love the title of this movie, Robinson Crusoe on Mars. How wonderful is that? Quirky and strange, but the film itself is not that strange, although there is a pet monkey as his companion, which is a nice little quirk. It's a delightful film. Voila! So overall, I give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. And if you enjoy my review, please subscribe, put a like, and voila. Au revoir, arrivederci, ciao.